Let me welcome you to my channel. Before we begin the video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like this post. In Josh Duggar's jail, FCI Seawald, a new year has begun. A new year means a fresh set of regulations. Due to the new regulations, Josh Duggar will have far less communication with his family by phone and video. The amount of minutes a prisoner is allowed to use the phone each month has been reduced by the federal prison that Josh will be housed in until 2032. It would seem that the cost of such phone calls has also increased. A lot less time will be available for Josh Duggar to spend on video and phone calls with his loved ones. There has been a modification in the phone rules for all federal prisoners at the Federal Bureau of Prisons. A source acquainted with the development talked with the U.S. Sun. According to their statement to the magazine, every month, convicts at FCI Seawald would have access to 300 minutes of chat time. Compared to what they were previously permitted, the new restriction is far lower. Inmates had 500 minutes each month to contact loved ones before January 1. Because of COVID-19 rules, the offenders were not charged for such calls. Personal visits were suspended at that period. The Federal Bureau of Prisons has decided to change its policy on calls to the outside world now that things are getting back to normal. At this time, the facility is open for in-person visitors. In addition to a significant reduction in the amount of time offenders may communicate with loved ones, they will also be financially responsible for making such calls. The article states that a fee of 6 cents per minute will be levied by the Federal Bureau of Prisons for prisoner calls, which includes Josh Duggar. Paying for video chats is a major pain. Inmates are now charged 16 cents each minute for them. Depending on how much talk time a prisoner plans to use each month, the new rates at FCI Seawald range from $18 to $48. Josh and his loved ones likely aren't concerned about how much his phone bills will be. However, they will most certainly protest his reduced phone rights. Since he has adjusted into his new home at FCI Seawald, it is unknown how often he is contacting home. We are still aware of his phone behaviors from his time at other location. Before being moved to his present jail, Josh allegedly made many phone calls daily. Before Josh was sent from the Washington County Detention Center to FCI Seawald in 2021, he and Anna had almost daily video chats. On several days, they had many conversations. While he was there, he also made many phone calls to his parents and siblings. It would seem that in-person visits are unaffected by the policy change regarding video and phone calls. Anna has been paying Josh frequent visits since his punishment put him to jail. The institution has also been visited by his brother-in-law, children, and many of his siblings. The Duggar family's Tawnytown, Arkansas property is several hours away from the correctional facility, yet Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar were seen visiting their troublesome eldest son there. At FCI Seawald in Texas, reality TV star Josh Duggar, who is on 19 Kids and Counting, is subject to new regulations while he serves his time. Correctional policy changes have further restricted Duggar's ability to communicate with his family, adding to the difficulties he is already facing as a result of his conviction on child pornography charges. Duggar isn't the only prisoner this change will affect. There are a lot of others. A key component of emotional stability and rehabilitation for the majority of prisoners is contact with family and friends outside of prison. The length of time that convicts are allowed to use their phones has been reduced due to new policies at FCI Seawald. This is a part of a larger attempt to limit inmates' abuse of the phone system and make sure everyone has equal access, according to sources knowledgeable with the prison's operations. In the past, Seawald prisoners could get 300 minutes of phone time each month. Reportedly, this restriction has been lowered to about 100 to 150 minutes, depending on institutional variables and individual rights, as a result of the policy adjustment. Along with the other prisoners, Duggar will now have to be very careful about who he phones and when he does so. This breakdown in communication is a special problem for Duggar, whose family and extended relatives number in the dozens. Even while inside, he has found it difficult to get in touch with his wife, Anna Duggar, and their 7 children. Even fewer chances exist for Anna, who has been a constant in Duggar's life despite his legal issues, to hear his voice. According to those close to the family, Anna has gone to great lengths to make sure her kids stay in touch with their dad no matter what. The timing of her phone calls is reportedly carefully planned to coincide with important family events or milestones. These calls will be substantially less frequent and significantly shorter due to the new time limits. The Duggar family may already be under emotional pressure due to their decreased contact time. Research on the repercussions of jail on families has shown that maintaining consistent communication with loved ones helps prisoners avoid reoffending and adjust more quickly to life outside of prison. Anna may have to dig deep to overcome this additional obstacle, especially since she has publicly maintained her commitment to her marriage. Anna suffers the double whammy of having to explain to the couple's children why their father isn't around, and also having to manage the family without his direct assistance, as she homeschools and raises the couple's children mostly on her own. Every holiday, birthday, and family function is a sobering reminder of his absence, and the emotional weight of missing out becomes heavier with each passing day. If you and Josh have fewer chats, that might make you feel even more alone. A few of Duggar's siblings have spoken out against Josh's behavior, but other than that, the rest of the family has been silent about his imprisonment since his conviction. For instance, Jill Dillard has voiced her satisfaction at her brother's conviction and discussed the effects of his conduct on the family. Jinger, Vuolo, and the other siblings have chosen to ignore the scandal involving their older brother in favor of talking about their own spiritual and life experiences. How often or how little Josh communicates with Jim, Bob, and Michelle Duggar, his parents, is still unknown. They are likely to also be impacted by the restricted phone time due to their big home and close-knit relationships. The need to provide equal access among convicts is a common justification, according to prison authorities, for phone time cutbacks. Facilities with high demand for communication resources may avoid monopolization by a few persons by restricting the length and frequency of conversations. Officials listen in on all phone calls to make sure nothing unlawful is being said, and lowering the call limit may help prevent misuse, so security is another factor to consider. In addition to limiting convicts' access to the phone, several correctional facilities recommend that they keep in touch with loved ones outside of jail via monitored email and letter writing. In order to maintain contact with Anna and their children, Duggar could have to depend more on these options. In light of the new limitations, Duggar will have to reevaluate his use of the few possibilities for expression he has. It will be crucial to prioritize talks and make the most of shorter connections. Given Anna's reputation for ingenuity and perseverance, she may try sending more frequent letters, images, or pre-recorded video messages as a means of bridging the distance. Inmates are expected to adhere to strict rules and participate in rehabilitation programs, and the ability to communicate is often seen as an advantage rather than a right. Although this may seem harsh, professionals stress the need of keeping in touch with prisoners in any way, shape, or form for their mental health and recovery chances. Thanks to Duggar's fame, a nationwide problem that affects inmates and their families is brought into the public eye. Those fighting for prisoners' rights say that the children of incarcerated people bear the brunt of the negative effects of communication limitations on their mental health. They want changes that respect the human rights of prisoners and their families, while also meeting the need for prison security. Because restricting contact may have negative effects on inmates and their families, organizations like the Prison Policy Initiative fight for accessible and inexpensive communication alternatives. For Duggar, the absence of continuous father-child contact is likely to have the most impact on his young children, who are still in the formative stages of their lives. The difficulties of limited communication are just one of many that Duggar will face throughout his 12-year prison term. The public's view of the once-beloved reality TV family Duggar has already changed because to his lawsuit, which is a widely publicized and contentious part of their tale. What is next for Anna Duggar is still a mystery. Her unwavering loyalty to her spouse has garnered praise and criticism, respectively, from the general public. It is a difficult and emotionally draining experience to navigate life as a single parent while maintaining connections to a jailed spouse. The load on her shoulders is increasing as her phone access is increasingly more constrained. In the end, the prison's choice to reduce phone time is indicative of larger, structural problems in the criminal justice system. Finding methods to adapt, persevere, and preserve the links that persist despite the challenges of confinement is the issue for Duggar and his family, as well as millions of others suffering similar limitations.